Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome back to Bees and Blossoms. And I just wanted to come on real quick with you guys and let's talk about garden planning. I know some of you just got hit with a winter storm. You're knee deep in snow. It's freezing cold. You're not in zone 9A like I am, enjoying beautiful temperatures, although it was colder this morning when I woke up, and I say that because it was like in the 50s. Which is cold to me, even though I'm from Kansas. I'm not. Florida cold to me is different than Kansas cold because here it's like a wet cold. There's just so much humidity here. And I could be completely just making this up in my head, but to me it's colder. But I know that, so some of you are just knee deep in snow and you may be looking forward to that spring weather when it starts coming green and you start seeing the leaves popping up on the trees and you're like, oh yes, spring is coming. Well, you can start planning now for your spring, which is what I'm doing. We have a lot that's going to be going on here this year with the rebuild of the house and everything, but I still want to focus on gardening and I still want to get our trees in. This is our last little tree. We got one orange. This orange tree has been eaten by horses and by deer, so she is struggling, but she did give us an orange. She's not quite ready yet, but we have more trees that we have planted and we have more trees that we're going to plant. So some of the things that we're going to be focusing on are what trees do we want to order. We order them now as bare root and then they ship them, I want to say at the end of February, closer to when you want to get them in the ground, when they're going to be coming out of their dormant phase. And so you want to get them in the ground, you want to get those roots really well established so that when they do start coming out of being dormant, those roots will grow and flourish and then you'll have a nice healthy tree. So we're going to be starting to think about that, and we're going to start thinking about how we want to lay out our vegetables this year. One of the things that I want to do this year is I think I know where I want to put an herb garden, bigger than the herb box that we have in the fenced-in garden area. Like, I really want to have a large herb garden that we can go and pick herbs for cooking, home herbal use for medicinal purposes, for medicine. So I want to get that laid out, and that is something that I actually kind of start doing now. It helps me to visualize it when we're trying to, decide where we're going to plant things. And I also like to keep a record of where we planted previously, so that we know what worked and what didn't work, so we can change it in the future. Like last year we planted our corn and okras differently, and we still have some learning to do. But so I wanted to talk about a few different options for planning. The first thing that you're going to, when you buy seeds, the first thing that you should actually be doing when you are planning your garden is look at the back of your seed packet. There's going to be growing instructions on the back of your packet, and if you flip them this way, you can see there's information in there about ideal temperature and lighting, seed depth, plant spacing, if they're frost hardy, and how much sun they need. And those are things that you need to take into consideration when you are laying out and planting your garden. So that's really important. Now, these seeds came from Baker's Creek. If you buy them from a local box store, they'll have the same kind of instructions on the back. But if you go to a feed store, like some of these are, you're going to have to do the research yourself because there are no instructions that come with this. Now, our feed store does have a free sheet of paper that you can pick up at the counter that tells you all of this information for each seed on that sheet of paper. I don't have my sheet of paper. It burnt in the fire, so I have to get a new one, and I just haven't picked one up at the counter. So that is some things to take into consideration when you start planning out your garden space. Is the information simply on the back of your seed packets. Another option to help you with information is a garden planner such as this. This is Clyde's garden planner. I did have one before the fire that I had ordered from Haas Tools, and then I just saw that Roots and Refuge had this one, so when I was ordering some stickers, I ordered one of these as well. It slides, so you can put in your frost. Let's see here. Here's the line for the frost. You can put that to your date where it needs to be. And it's two-sided. So there's one that is for fall, and this one's for fall, and this side's for spring. So you'll have your first frost date or your last frost date. And then it tells you the ideal harvest time, and then where your last plant, and then the check marks are your expected harvest dates. So it kind of gives you more of an idea about, you know, what you need for each of those. And then if you slide it all the way over, mine's a little wonky. Now it's going to tell you more information about the plant and what you're growing and what it needs. So that's another option just to have. And then you can also find planners like this, which is just it's called a gardener's logbook, but all this does is save information about your plants. But if you have seeds and you want to log the information from one season to another, how they grew, it is a plant log. And you can see that you can log information about the plant. You put in the information and you can rate it on your own scale. So this is just another way for you to keep track of information about your garden as it goes. And then that will help you plan for next year. I am a paper and pencil kind of a person, so that's what I'm going to talk to you about next. The first thing that I do, because I'm visual, and even though we can walk around out here and I can look and see where I want to plant everything, I'm still a visual person. I still want to draw it out. So the first thing that I do is I'll go on to Google Maps and I'll print a picture of our property. Now you can see the duckweed on the pond. This picture was before the fire because you can still see the house there. But I'll take this and I will take a pen and I will start to draw out where I think I want to plant trees or where we want to maybe put our next garden area. So this is what I do first, because I need that overview, and I'm not the best artist, so drawing it myself is not going to work. Now Google's a little bit behind the times, so your picture is not going to be accurate as to what your property looks like right now, so take that into consideration. I just do it for a basic general outline of the property. The next thing, the way that I like to keep track of things is to write it in an actual book. Now last year, this is damaged from the fire, so please excuse the burn marks. But last year I had, this is a Hobonichi, which is an actual calendar. And it has blank pages for each day. And so on here, I'll show you if I can find a page that's not damaged so I can show you. Okay, I don't know if this will show up, but I had drawn out, they have 2 blank pages in there. I used that for my garden layout that year. And I kept track of receipts. See, it's so damaged. I would take pictures of the garden progress and put it in on that day so that I could watch the progress. Oh, here's one. This one I had written down that a water turtle had laid eggs by the turtle box. No, not by the turtle box, by the carrot box, potato box, whatever you want to call it. So I wrote that down so that I could keep track of the turtle eggs and their growth. So that is another. I also kept receipts from seeds ordered, which those seeds are now gone. So this is my preferred method, but instead of using a hobonichi this year, I ordered from Amazon. It's a stalogy. It's just a little journal, and it has blank graph pages. Now it has dates and stuff up here, so if you want to circle the date and everything, you can, but I just write it in. And so one of the things that I have done with this is, because I don't come out to the garden every single day. One thing I did was I did add in a rain tracker so that I can keep track of the days that it rained. And I've set that up so that I can have a running, so I can track it over the years. And I've also put in my own seed inventory. I haven't started adding seeds yet. I have to go through and do that still, so that I know what I have and what I don't have. And then I started another layout. Again, I'm not an artist, but being a grid design helps me with lines and assuming placement. You don't have to order anything special. You can use just a basic spiral notebook with lined paper, and you can still do your layout on here. You can still keep track of what happens each day. For example, in my planner, I have, I took a picture and noted how everything was doing in the raised bed. When my order came in, if it rained, what the temperature was. Like, I'll just make notes so that I know in the future, you know, how that transpired. Like what happened last year on this day may not happen next year on this day. I also inputted I put my receipts in here from any plants that I order, and I just track what I did. Like, I checked the bees. I added a pollen patty, or if I added sugar water. So that is one thing that I just use this for, is just to simply write down what is going on with what I have in the garden. When it comes to planning, like I said, you don't have to be fancy. You can use a composition book. You can use a spiral notebook. You can order something from Amazon if you want it to be prettier. I mean, the option for garden planners is simple and endless. So you do have many options as to what you want to use. Now, when it comes to doing the layout, I will take my Google printout of the property, and I'll go ahead and I'll map out where the already established trees are. Now, what we want to do this year is around the ponds, I want to focus like my tropical plants close to the water. And eventually we're going to build a little beach area there so that we'll have beach sand brought in, and then it'll be like your own little tropical thing. Well, one of the things that I want to take into consideration when we're planning that, even though it's not happening this year, I want to make sure that my path from the gate out to that area is clearly marked on my plan, so that I'm not planting something that's going to be in the way. Because I've already done that. I've already put something somewhere and it didn't work. My peach trees didn't work. My plum tree, where I planted it, it didn't work. My fig tree, it didn't work. I have another fig tree that I have to plant. Water runoff is something that you want to take into consideration when you're looking at where you want to plant your garden. Another thing that you want to take into consideration are your varieties of what grows well in your area, in your zone. And it's really easy to figure out what zone you're in. There's so many free resources. You can just Google it. You can put in your zip code and you can say, what is my growing zone for 11142 zip code? And it'll tell you where you're at. I know I am a 9A growing zone. We are in Northeast Florida, and it's a temperate climate zone. We do get frosts here, and we get freezes. Now, they're not like super long. They can be hard freezes. We've had it get down into the teens, but it's only snowed here one time in 1989. It did snow, but the amount of snow on the ground was like not very much. But it can happen. It hasn't happened since 1989, so we don't really worry about that too much. But my bottom line, what I'm saying is, go ahead and start thinking about how you want to plant your garden, how you want to plant your raised bed, what you want to put in your back patio garden in your pots. Like, go ahead and start looking. It's almost time to start those seeds. So start thinking about what you want to start now. What is it that is going to do well now? If you go ahead and start them for an early spring planting. I want to go ahead. I haven't gotten these seeds in the ground yet. I went through and I have selected what greens I want to grow between now and spring. But it's been so hot here. It's literally been in the 80s almost every day. So much so that the lettuce that I had planted has already started to bolt. And that's not what you want when you're doing your leafy greens. But I have spinach, I have arugula, I have bok choy. I have all of these that I want to get in the ground, and now is going to be the perfect time for me to do this because we finally had a cold front come through. And so I'm hoping, here we are at the beginning of January and we're still in the 80s. Today it's gone down to the 70s. I think it is in the 70s right now. But it's beautiful, but it's still a bit warm, but at night it's getting cool. It's getting in the 50s. So these are just some things that I've held off on because of the temperature that we've been having, but now I want to get those in the ground. Something else you want to start thinking about are your potatoes, and what variety of potatoes that you want to start planting. Potato season is coming up, so it's time to start thinking about, you know, those, what you want to get in the ground. If you're gonna have farm animals, start looking at what varieties of chickens you're gonna get, or what variety of goat you want to get. That's something that we've been talking about, our dairy goats. Your order for spring chickens is going to be coming up soon. So there's just lots of things to take into consideration, things to start thinking about and planning. If you have any questions, or if you want me to go more in depth on anything, feel free to post in the comments and just let me know. I'll be more than happy. If I don't know it, I'll look it up. I'll find it for you, and definitely, you know, share that information. But just yeah, I just wanted to say, get your planning stuff together. Start looking at the future, start looking at the spring, and start laying those gardens out. Get them down on paper so that you have a plan going into the spring. You know where you need to amend your soil, you know where you need to start setting up borders. If you're in the rural area, want to make sure you keep those animals out, those bunnies, those, you know, little deer that will come in and eat everything, like your orange tree. She has no barrier. All of that behind me is a natural preserve, and they come up and they bed down in this is coastal hay that, from having horses for so many years and the rolls being out here, that it now just grows here. So we leave it to get long so that they have some place to bed down, because let's face it, development thinks that it needs to happen everywhere, and it's happening out here in our area, which we moved out here to get away from it, but now it's following us. So they're running out of space to live. Their home is being torn down because we need more housing developments. We don't really need more housing developments. Go into the neighborhoods that are already established, that are falling apart, and revamp those. That's my political speech for today. So thank you for watching. Stay tuned. We're going to have lots of updates on the house, lots of things going on. Hopefully I'll have a total knockdown coming soon, because we've got it all cleared out. I'm going to go ahead and post an update video on that as well. But we're planning on taking those walls down, Next will be taking out trees and really opening the property up and seeing what we have to work with, more so in the front yard, because we're gonna take this whole edible landscaping thing and we're gonna do it. We're really going to use that as our landscaping once we get the farmhouse built. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you wanna just keep up with what we have going on. And I hope that you guys have a fantastic January. And again, Happy New Year. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.